a good trip over the streets.
All right, well, let's just open this tavern door, baby.
Guys, everywhere, the band's getting back together. Hey, whoa!
And welcome to Tavern Talk, a full spoiler live talk show based on the epic fantasy series Wheel of Time by Robert Jordan. My name is Ryan, and with me, as always, is co-host, actor extraordinaire Jansen Lashley-Haynes, and I want to slow down this intro so you can just keep dancing, brother Dan. You're killing it. You got the lighting, you got the looks.
Two people just already gave me their room keys for later, Ryan. My panties being thrown up on stages. I'm actually getting tired doing this. I'm not even dancing and I'm gasping.
Well, you're like a quadrupeditarian, right?
Yeah.
The queensitarian?
Yes, and a fruitarian.
Thank you so much, Matt Stagger. As always, man. We love you.
Matt Stagger. Your kindness is really only surpassed by
your looks.
How great your wife is, actually, in her art. Okay. Your kindness comes a close second, but your wife's art's pretty awesome.
Your wife is your best asset.
Matt Stagger, you're amazing as always. And hey, welcome, DK. Cheers for Jansen. Indeed. So, as you may or may not have heard, there was a little strike. And we weren't able to talk about our show with our good friend Jansen and guests. So we're remedying that tonight. Not only do we have Jansen, but we have an amazing guest. Ryan, do your thing.
All right. Let's bring it in.
Do your thing. I said do your thing.
Right. You know her. To know her is to love her. To know her is to maybe get wounded by a great, gigantic, leaping hug. Yes. Bring her in. Ladies and gentlemen, round of applause for Delusions of Grendel. Yay!
Delusions of Grendel. She is best. I say West. Mississippi. He's Mississippi. He's a hippie. Mississippi. She's a Mississippi.
I saw you struggling with her.
Oh, yeah, boom.
And
do it.
There I be. Hi, friends.
My dear.
Yes, I am. Thank you.
It has been much too long since you've graced the panels of our pixelated digital output. Hello.
It's been way too long since fisting puppets. I have missed you all dearly.
Oh my goodness.
You haven't aged a wink.
Oh, I don't know about that.
Yes. The pride of Canada, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome. As I kind of prefaced, we haven't talked about the show with Jansen. Jansen is a working actor. He has been in Abbott Elementary. He has been in Star Trek. He's been in Your Mom's Dreams, I'm sure.
Worldwide ad campaigns.
Ad campaigns. Yeah, you did phone. You did Toyota. You were the voice of Toyota of Southern California.
Red Pocket Mobile.
Yes.
It sounds so nasty.
So
no,
good.
I'm not saying no. Hey, you're a sponsor. Yeah, we love that. We love Red Pocket Mobile. Everyone support Red Pocket Mobile.
Yeah. And as of like 10 days ago, the winner of like $5,000 on Let's Make a Deal.
Ooh.
Yes, that did happen. You know,
so
us,
Jansen's
right?
been
You gotta
killing
do some stuff.
Yeah, go ahead, man.
Yeah. So no, Jansen was in a cage, and the law firm of Perrin Tiabara came in and freed all the actors, and now we have.
We got a new contract.
There we go.
Yes, we are back.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Well done. Well done. Well done for your perseverance. Well done for your collectivism. Unions work. You must have patience because they will try to break you. And guys, if they could pay you less, they would. So no, this is a win for all of us.
Yes, it is a huge, huge, huge win. And now we're going to be getting a lot of content, and we're moving again, and we get to get more shows, and we get to talk about this, which is part of my heart. So let's go, guys. Let's do it.
Let's go. Yeah, indeed. So to that end, Jansen comes to the table with a lot of behind the scenes experience in how a show is made, and some of the decisions that they made may seem baffling to us, but may make more sense to Jansen and vice versa. So what we're going to do is walk through the episode 1. I'll just kind of briefly say what was going on, and Jansen, you just kind of do your thing, and Dog, you do your thing, and Ryan, you do your thing, and Chat, you do your thing. We're all gonna do our thing, I think.
I was hoping you could tell that I was doing my thing.
You're doing your thing-a-ling?
All right. Hey. So yeah, it's been hard waiting for this moment all our lives. Season 2, we wanted to be like behind the scenes, behind just conversations between three of us. Jansen's just blowing our minds all the time.
Oh my God, I've had so much fun with it. I see, for someone like me who was so sad reading the last pages of The Wheel of Time because I knew it was ending. For someone like me who just loves to talk about this and think about more options and what Robert Jordan was thinking at the time, having new content for me is nothing but sheer love and joy. So,
I agree. I mean,
agree.
We didn't have anything before. So, I mean, you can hate it or whatever, but we had nothing. Now we have something. Now when you say Moiraine, for good or for bad, you picture Rosamund Pike.
Rosa.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do. I have to tell you, you do that now. And that is one of the things that shows you how powerful television and film are and can be for the visuals and the things that you have. And not only just for yourself, but as a collective group of people, merging something together. Just about everyone sees Moiraine as Rosamund now. They can't help it. You can't help it. So that brings us all together even closer, because all of us had our own thoughts and our own, pictures of who some of the characters were and are and what they look like. And let's be fair, in the future, that may change, because now it's not just, Rosamund Pike, it's the next actress down the line 40 and 50 years from now who decides to be Moiraine, because this story will still be here.
Oh, that's a good point.
Of that, I am 100% sure of that. So, for actors and stuff, we love having things like this because we get to even explore more and in a different way. And, and in saying that, I want to talk about, let's start with how we opened up season 2.
Right. And that's
Friend Daycare,
which is the Dark Friend Social.
Yes.
And actually, Delusions, when you first saw this scene, like, what were your feelings?
Oh my God, so many things. I'm so happy. Like, obviously, I'm a big fan of The Chosen. Seeing this scene gave me hope because I saw it before episode 1 dropped. So it came out. It was like one of the massive drops from Twitter of Time, the Tweeter of Chaos. We miss you dearly.
Yeah, R.I.P.
But I saw it and I just got so excited for the potential of this season with what they were going to be doing with The Chosen and showing the nuance of why you would join the Shadow. It's something I thought was missing from the books, right? We never really got, like, why did Pater decide to join the Shadow as a 16-year-old? What happened there?
Mm-hmm.
And there was a little promise of that in season 1 with Dana. Azuka Hoyle like killed that role, and so I was interested in that, being able to see like Ishamael like pet a Trolloc and like have the empathy and compassion for that little girl. It set the bar for my expectations, and the rest of the season, Lanfear especially, just blew him out of the water. This
was also the first of many touching scenes that Ishamael participates in. He's a big personal space guy. He gets right up in you.
Yeah,
oh
he does. He does.
The caress of Rand is just, that lives rent free in my head. And I know Master of the Deck is like on another page with that fan fiction already.
Like literal page, yeah.
So Jansen, what were your thoughts as a working actor in regards to the whole Dark Friend social?
Well, I thought they handled it really well, because the big difference from the books and from the show were the point of view, because the point of view that we got in the books were from Joachim Carradine, who was called Bors.
Mm-hmm.
And that was, but this point of view was not from Bors. It was from the eyes of a little girl. And I really, really, really like that choice. Because if we would have had Bors, it would have been really, really hard for the audience to understand where they were coming from with it. Bors is a very good character, I believe, in the books, and I'm sad that I don't think he's going to be there. I think that was a cut that they had to make. There's a lot of cuts they were going to have to make. And, I also believe that they showed us something in the Dark Friend Social that they didn't show us in the books. I think that every single person that we saw at the Dark Friend Social under the table was in this season.
I think you're right. And I think that's a little, you know what? And I guess that's foreshadowing per se, but I would have liked to see. Well, I mean, do we see a Dark Friend Tinker? Do we see this girl's mom?
We see the little girl.
Yeah, and she says mom, and she goes to reach
a tinker. Yeah, she was a tinker. But we also saw 2 Shinarans.
Did we?
We saw 2 Shinarans. Yes, we did. We saw 2 Shinarans, not just one.
Oh,
which means there's still one with them.
Or that the whole scene with Homie and Perrin talking, right? Where is that? No, the guy who died, Ingtar. That maybe
Ingtar.
This whole thing, I believe they're foreshadowing when they're talking over the dead bodies that they just buried, and he said, "Well, maybe if he asked him what his motivations were."
Yeah. Maybe Patton Fane's not that bad of a guy,
Right?
Maybe
yeah.
Maybe this Dark.
Oh, that was a great
right?
quote. Yeah, what did he say? Yeah, that was a great quote. He said, you might not like the answer, but it may be worth asking the question. You might find it worth asking the question. Yeah, that was a great, I loved that. That was a great line.
Dude. What a handsome dude.
I always thought that was foreshadowing. Okay, here we go. Ingtar's got it in him. And then, later on, he just kind of dies.
Apparently they filmed the scene with Ingtar. It just didn't translate well in the final episode.
Yeah. Also, they're working. Okay. They're not just working. I would love for them to make a full, all the scenes that they did, that did not make it, because they were always on a time. It always has to be a certain amount of time that they can have you can't go over. So you're going to have to do some cutting. And, the first thing with every single production, it's budget. And You're going
Was
to
that
have to.
Shio Ghul we saw, Jansen?
I believe it was Shao Ghul or the edges of it.
Okay, what do you think, Doug?
No, I think they're somewhere. Oh my God, where's the country?
Ethiopia?
Not
No,
Eridogan.
Turkey.
Uh,
No, they're in Turkey
What, do you
Republic,
think- do you think-
Argentina.
Do you think they're in Galdon?
yeah, I think so.
Huh.
I think they're like
Because-
actually in the world.
Oh, I think they're in the world too. I do think they're in the world. But as opposed to the books where you don't know if they're in the dream world or not. But there were Zamora, so I think they were in the real world in the book too.
Ooh.
After
Matt
the
Dagger says
cold
they're
open,
in Tar, according to the X-ray. So that's fun.
Oh, that's great. Okay.
Oh,
That's
Awesome.
great.
okay.
Hey,
That's
hey,
really
we're
cool.
stronger. We're stronger together, everyone.
Yes, we are. It
After
takes a
that cold
village,
open, we
right?
get Moraine. Moraine, Lan, they're at Varen's pad. Moraine's kind of not being very nice. She's carrying buckets. Lan's working out. Varen is cool as fuck. She's with her sister, Adelaus, and Tomas.
And may I
Great
say,
change.
Varen's casting, her casting was so perfect.
God, yeah.
Oh my God, it was perfect. Like, she's so good at being Varen, it's ridiculous. Like, just everything about her, I loved it. And I also love the big change. Spoiler alert, guys! Just everyone who's watching, we've got spoilers coming all throughout, especially the first 3 to 4 books of the series.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
pretty much we're going to be spoiling a lot of the second season. So please, if you don't want to know about this, please watch us at a later date. Because we're going to give it to you right now.
So she is meeting, she's met 20 people so far. Lan has no idea who they are, more or less. Another one comes. It Doobie. It's the Doobie King, and I'm not talking about Snoop.
Doobie doo.
Doobie-doo. It's Bail Doman.
And he was exactly what all of us who are serious fans of this genre, of this entire series, he was exactly what we wanted Bail Doman to be.
Let me ask you guys, is his casting, which I do love on the surface, but is it a little diminished with the character of Sir Davos from Game of Thrones being a Scottish kind of older guy with a beard who's the sea guy? You know what I'm saying? He has very Davos vibes for me.
Well, yeah, you can't blame George R. R. Martin for being influenced.
Yeah,
No, I'm saying casting.
And casting.
I like Davos.
No,
Sir Davos gave me like different vibes, and like I the similarities are certainly there, but we get
and
more
he
like,
also go on, Grindo, go on. No, well, we also he was in the show for a different reason as well. He was also a conscience in the Game of Thrones. Bail Doman is definitely not that. Davos was somebody who helped people along make the right decision. Doman's along for the ride. He doesn't know how integral he is in this story, but because Bail Doman is, as far as the books go, he's one of the people who's there at the right time a lot. And he fulfills that. He's one of those people who fulfills that in the books, in the Wheel of Time, as opposed to Davos, who is a conscience. So I actually, Bail Doman's one of my favorite characters, because everything he does is not for the pattern or for the last battle or for anything. He's just trying to make it through. He doesn't consider himself a hero. He doesn't consider himself. He does do the right thing, but he's also a smuggler and trying to make his way. I love that character. He's one of the people who don't, who the pattern isn't making do something crazy. So I like Doman. I do. I like Bail Doman.
Yeah.
And I think that we're going to see a lot more of him next season.
I loved so much that they tied in how he got the Quandiar at the end. How like it was Lanfear all along, and she's just this little puppeteer pulling the strings. Because it just makes to me it's like such cohesive story writing that we didn't have the opportunity to have in season 1 because of like the big changes and shifts with COVID and also the departure of Barney Harris. And like this season was so much stronger, and I really think it's because like from episode 1 to episode 8 they knew exactly where they were going and how everything was going to tie in. And it's just like those little references that like with Bale and then him seeing Lanfear at the end too, it was like it left my heart in a very good place this season, and I'm so excited for where the story is going to keep taking us.
I think it was clever the way that they incorporated the dark prophecy that was originally written in blood on the wall, but that's how Moraine got it. I didn't have a good taste in my mouth in the way she freaking ripped off Bale Dome, and he went all that way around. And she gave him 10 more, saying, "Get on your boat and get the fuck out." You got
Mirabelle. I love that. Like I loved. You know, everyone sees Aes Sedai as these magical, powerful beings, and they are. But they also, in the book, stress that they are so awesome at the subtleties of Dastemar and the small things as well. And watching her do that without the power is awesome. I think it just shows how, even without the power, they are a force to be reckoned with. Like they can outsmart anybody. They can deal with the sea folk. They can do everything because they invented Dastemar. And I loved how they showed that with her. That was awesome.
I gotta admit,
and the sea folk reference. So we know we're getting sea folk, baby.
Yes, yes.
It was awkward meeting him like on land, like just and like not having him in a boat. I can't wait to actually see him in a
Where
boat.
is Florin Gelb?
Budget. I believe we will see a Florin Gelb, but it's all about budget. That's why I do think that next season we're going to see a lot of sea folk and Bale Doman and ships, because once they get that, and this is because of Hollywood and everything, budget. When they make a set for a boat or a couple, they're going to use it. So that's why
it's like Chekhov's boat.
I think we're going to see a lot of scenes on boats and stuff like that. That's what I think we're going to do.
It can't be Chekhov's sea folk.
All right, so speaking of budget, Delusions, I kind of see you as maybe knowing more about what's currently happening with like being leaked or what have you. But how about this? Do we know how much the budget's changed from season 2 to season 3?
Oh man, I don't know. Let me see if What Series has posted anything on that, because I don't think we got the season 2.
Something told me it was less.
No, that would be so sad, because there was such a step up from 1 to 2. But I'm not sure. I'm not sure about the difference between 2 and 3. I heard a rumor that there's only 6 episodes, but I refuse to believe that.
Like, you mean 6 seasons?
6
or
episodes.
6 episodes of 3.
6 episodos?
I'm choosing not to believe it, and so
they are on the wrong side of history. Amazon.
I doubt that. I don't know that if that's true. I don't know. I doubt that. But yeah, I doubt that.
I think it's just like the panic of the unknown, because people are like freaking out.
Well, they did continue working through the strike. Like, could the strike have made them say, okay, well, we gotta like cap certain things just in case?
Maybe,
I think they knew in advance. Like, they were really clever with their writers' room, because they actually didn't hire any of the American Guild. So when you were writing for season 3, and like they were brought over to London, and none of them were guild members, so they knew the strike was coming.
One of the things though, and this isn't really, you can do this without changing the budget, and this is what I think they did. They filmed it differently. The White Tower looked vast in season 2. It looked a lot smaller to me in season 1. In season 2, it looked like they were going through like everywhere, and she was doing things here and doing things there.
You're
and then
right.
They had orders,
Yeah.
and everything it looked like the White Tower. It looked like big and massive, and she had to go do this. She had to go across this. Oh,
You're right.
I gotta make
No,
time to
yeah.
get here, and I love that.
And Jansen, we had one of those few moments. In fact, when I saw it happen, I was like, "Dang, did they ever do this?" Where they basically followed Egwene from like down a hallway, turning right, but dodge this person, go into a room, and the room's lively and bustling. And that was not; those transitions were not happening. It was like set action. People enter a room, and it's a set piece.
It wasn't like that. Exactly. And I loved reading about the White Tower in the books when they were in the White Tower, just because of all the things that were going on in this magical building that was full of like the power and like intrigue and all this stuff. I loved reading about that, and I loved reading about the Black Tower even when they finally made it.
Well, let me remind you of a scene though. So I thought the same thing when Egwene was going through. She was going around the tower. That was pretty cool. But then when they were talking, when Leandrin was talking to Shiriam, and they were talking about Egwene, and Alana was there, man, and those trees, those like fruit persimmon trees, I guess, man, that looked like a tiny little like. Not big at all. There were like 8 sisters there, and they were all crammed in there. I didn't like it at all.
Yes, you're right. And they even
did you notice that?
Tarvalin.
Yes,
I totally noticed it. And like, they did that with Tarvalin too. Tarvalin looked more open, more, the streets of Tarvalin, when Leandrin was walking at her, through like everything, and Nynaeve was following her, and she had like her hood on. It looked like it was just an open big place, and I love that. Like it's small things like that they did when they filmed differently that can open things up, for better storytelling. And I think that was one thing that it was a home run. They did it really well. That was something they did very, very well.
So Jansen, like going back to that scene where Egwene and we have like a transition from one to another, kind of reminded me a little bit of a West Wing. Right, where the camera's moving, right? Like something like that. Help me out with this. I thought, God dang it, like why can't that be the style they continue with? Because you see it once and you're wowed by it, but then you don't see that again. And are those like because they have different directors coming in and they have more say over those things?
Well, that's always the case, but a lot of times, people do trial and error. If they do it once, I mean, that's essentially why when series start lasting longer, the production value and the things start getting better, because they do things that worked, and things that didn't work, they don't do anymore. So it's like, I think that we're going to see a lot more of this.
Let me ask you, Jansen. When you have these shots, is it like where you have that little railroad track that the camera rides on, like the little dolly thing? Is that shot, or is it upgraded now?
That's probably, they use that shot. They use those railroad little things all the time. But sometimes they also use, 2 people will be holding a certain one with somebody holding it on a backpack on his chest. There's so many different ways that they do, but when they do roving scenes like that, usually it is on one of those, and something that might, I hope they do next season, if they do have a lot of White Tower scenes, and I think that they will have White Tower scenes through the entire series. I would have liked to have seen the different Aja quarters a little more different than they made them. I would like to see them, like when you're in the green Aja quarters and the brown Aja quarters and the red, they weren't as different as I would have liked to see them be. At least
I'm hoping that's a season 3 thing when we
and they could even change that with lighting. You know, if they had red dimmers and blue dimmers and green, they could even just subtly change it with lighting. Could be awesome. You know, and you know, I want to see the yellow Ajas look like a hospital. You know, I want to see them like that. I want to see the Browns look. The Browns were good. It looked like a library, and it was good. I like that a lot.
Let's not talk about that scene. That was
The Whites have feng shui for sure, right? Like couches that are on the ground, kind of thing.
Like the Grays, I want to see maps everywhere, and you know, even on the floor. You know, I want to see maps everywhere, and you know, trinkets from different places all over the world. I want to see all that stuff. You know, like. So, you know, there's still always room for improvement, but what they've done from the first season is night and day.
Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely. Speaking of lights, the very first scene was super dark. And I remember thinking that was pretty a bold move to start the, you know, a much awaited season with such a dark scene. It's what are the challenges of working in like dark? I remember a lot of people complained about Game of Thrones being too dark. And then there's a lot of discussions about how they're making television to they're filming and post-producing for like maybe certain televisions, and other televisions are not adapting to that dark like lighting. And what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, I think that the dark was needed. I think, you know, from they use different film, and most of it's digital these days. So, you know, and most TVs that we're getting are smart TVs that are all digital and all, you know, they pick up everything. But I think, you know, you'd be surprised how much lighting they actually use when they're filming those very dark scenes. It's very weird. They use a lot of lighting for that. But yeah, I think that the dark is needed. In fact, I like it a lot. I thought that I think that this season 2 was going to be a very dark season. There was a lot of darkness. We saw a lot of darkness. We saw a lot of dark movements. We saw a lot of dark pain and suffering. And I thought that it was appropriate. I thought it was appropriate.
And like even in those dark moments, you can see that they're trying to distinguish from what Game of Thrones did. Like we're not getting like a battle that's completely shot. Like the scene with the Myrtle, and like where you can see the Myrtle peeling itself off the rock, and like you can see the stickiness still even in the shadows. I mean, there were certainly times I was like, oh, okay, we can brighten it up a little more. But it, the darkness wasn't off-putting. No,
it wasn't.
I was trying to take stills, and a lot of my stills look like this. Is that a Myrtle? No, that's mannequin. Oh. Oh, man. Maybe I don't know how to do the colors, Chancey. Maybe it's me.
So that whole scene there, I mean, it starts off with Egwene catching a completely undisturbed Alana in the throes of passion with her 2 warders.
Yes. I thought it was great. I thought it was really great. See, that's something else that Game of Thrones did. And and this is for, you know, straight up to get more people to watch your show. You know, Game of Thrones, they gave a lot of sex, and they focused a lot of things around that. And because, let's face it, a lot of people like watching it. You know, like it's good to watch. You know, it makes for good watching, and people like to watch it. There's a lot of voyeurism in television, so people like to do that.
So, but the sex that we're seeing at Jansen is, for the most part, you could see on ABC on a Saturday night. There's not really anything that's really too risque or daring. I mean, I guess a threesome might be daring, but
they're just showing it to get us to know that that's happening. You know, it's not something they're like, oh, they're getting it down. We're about to see a great scene. It's just something to put into. That's what greens do. You know, like that's what some greens
get sandwiched.
And they use this a little bit later.
Hashtag Alana Fox, right?
Yeah,
indeed. They use this. I mean, in the meantime, while Egwene is carrying all her shit, Nynaeve is training with the warders, and then they have the dirty water scene where Alana's like, "Hey, you got to drink this water. Here's how you clean it. It's gonna take a while. Be patient. It's gonna take a couple hours." Nynaeve's like, "Fuck that noise. Gulp, gulp, gulp. I'll drink your dirty ass water." End of game.
Exactly. And they're showing that Rafe Judkins is showing a really nice way of how Nynaeve needs to grow up. And that was a really good scene that showed that. I mean, it was throughout the books. Of course, Nynaeve was one of the most obstinate pupils until the very end. You know, it was hard for her to surrender to almost anything. So they're showing that, but they're also showing that she needs to grow up because, you know, which they didn't show much of in the books early on. But like I said, we have to drive a story when you're on film and when you're on television and when people are watching. You can't take as long. We saw Nynaeve grow over the course of a 15-book, you know, thick book, years. You know, it took us to watch her grow, and new fans and people who non-book readers don't have the time that we had. So they have to show her being more obstinate than she was in the books. That, you know, we have to show her coming of age quicker, just like everyone else is growing faster in the show than they are in the books, because they have to.
But
I like that with everyone except
they're not like taking away power, right? Like I know people were frustrated where Nynaeve and Rand ended the season because they wanted them both to have these big moments. But when like RJ was writing book 2, he thought it was going to be a trilogy, so it made sense for Rand to be and Nynaeve to be like these supernovas. Like I think it was. I know we're not talking about this in this episode, but when Nynaeve and Egwene and Elaine arrive in Falma, and there was no mass channeling by Nynaeve in the show, which makes sense. And so I think, you know, in this scene with her and when she drinks the water, we learn she's been at the tower for 5 months and she still hasn't channeled. So they're really trying to emphasize the block and the impact of that.
The block,
which I think they did well for show onlys.
And it's still not
no, they did not. They did not end well. Our show only watchers did not. They were like Nynaeve was meh, whatever. They were like she was a big nothing burger at the end. They didn't think she was fighting her block. They thought
she was just scared.
Yeah, it did not translate very well. I think to a lot of
like
people.
I say, like my dad as a show only, or I guess he's Red Eye of the World, but it landed for him. Like
okay, right on.
But so I don't know if it lands for everyone, but it made sense to me that's kind of where she was at this season, and picking up at like 5 months later, how's she doing? Not great, still stubborn as shit, still not channeling of her own volition.
And I think by the end of next season, there's going to be a huge payoff because of this. You know, Rafe Judkins is doing a really good job of showing really big payoffs now, and people who were really upset with a lot of things that happened in the first season and the second season started saying, oh, I see. You know, and he's doing that because, and I'm definitely one of those people who said, okay, I like the way he did that, you know, because there were a lot of questions I had at the end of last season, like all of us, you know, like, why'd they do that? That sucked. Why'd they do that? And there's still a couple of things I'm still a little bit like, I'm not sure with. Well, but, you know, they have explained a lot.
Yes, but I will say that this episode should have had at least 2 or 3 lines explaining why Loyal and Ingtar are okay. They should have said, "Oh, it's a good thing those Aes Sedai came in and fucking healed you because you got stabbed by that."
Yeah.
Wow, you were
that evil
really,
dagger,
really,
right?
really
You know?
dead there.
You were really
You were
dead.
super
until
dead
someone got
there.
it. Yeah, I mean,
I mean,
kinda
Loyal
wish that
even
was
did the. Yeah, Loyal even did the dead twitch. The. You know,
I
so I don't know.
know.
You know,
sold
he
it,
even
baby.
did the dead twitch. He was like,
This
like it was-
so I think this episode should have addressed that. Honestly, what do you think, Doug?
I think it's funnier that they don't.
You,
Like, I just think
well,
it's so
yeah,
funny
you're,
that they were like, "Here's what the
the
dagger
chaos.
can do," but not to Loyal, I guess.
yeah.
it's a flesh wound.
Yeah, I mean, we're allowed to have like plot holes. You know, RJ
Yes.
had like massive plot holes in the books at some point. This just feels on
Oh.
brand. Like Loyal's okay. Okay.
So
I didn't
speaking
see-
of
yeah,
all right, so speaking of something that did not get resolved, the little girl we meet in the beginning, she's a tinker. We find out later she escapes a Trolloc attack
Maybe.
and is we see her running off. Yeah. I mean, but also in the rule of Amazon television, if you don't see a body, they're not dead. So
for that.
this kid, what do we think is going to happen with this kid? And
I
try and
believe
keep
that
it
she
spoiler
is-
free if we can.
Yeah, I believe that she is probably going to join the Shadow.
Will she be a character we meet later in the books?
Will she be like
I
our
believe
Pater?
so. I believe so, but I mean, I even think I know who she's going to be, but I am going to leave that if we're not going to talk about it. I
Okay.
do think that there's a character.
Does it
she's
start with
going-
an M and last name starts with an S?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah,
awesome. That's all roads lead to MS with
Yep.
this guy. Look at this guy.
Shame.
He's an MS stan.
Shame. All right, so so the thing is, Chansony, that this dagger now has lightsaber powers and whatnot. And no, this dagger is unpredictable. We saw that we can't ignore the power of this dagger. It diminishes it if we don't address it. We could have just done just a 2-line thing, man. Wow, and him going, "Oh, my arm's still sore from that wicked dagger. I got healed, but boy, that's something." Yeah, Puff. All right.
I think
All
that.
All right, Henri.
I was
Henri,
waiting
bring
for
Henri
it, but
back.
then like when they didn't address it and it was just radio silence, I was like, no, but this is so funny.
So what is it? So what
was
is this
baffled.
whole process, Jansen? Like it's such an obvious, glaring hole, and
it's a hole.
and so is it just that every goddamn second is almost like sacrosanct? Like everything that actually makes it onto the television is so like is it debated on high? Like what goes on
I think
into
some
like
is
cutting this
some
shit?
is debated. Some is debated for a long time, and sometimes it's never resolved. Sometimes there's an argument through the entire production. But I think that something like this was just, it's easier to do it than to explain. That's all. I mean, I honestly think that, like, that something like this is that it's easier. And I think that we're going to get some kind of payoff or later on. And I think I know what it could be. But I think that there's going to be some kind of payoff. And I think that it's going to have to all deal with Pat and Fane.
Okay. Well, let's jump. We're only on the first page of my stuff still. So we're at the scene 6. This is Perrin, Loyal, and Uno. And Perrin is hilarious in a very non-Ogier way. He's like, "No, go ahead and tell us about that shit again." He's like nudging Perrin. He's like, Uno's like, I would have got Pat and Fane. I was gonna fire. and Loyal's just like talking shit. Like he's like, "Are you taking the piss?" He's like, No, he's an Ogier. He can't do that. I think he was. But we also get wolf vision. This is where Perrin gets his wolf vision. Let's talk about this. So is wolf vision going to be sniffer shit?
Seems like
it's
it.
going to be. Yeah, it seems like it. It seems like by the end of next season, Perrin's eyes will be permanently golden, I believe.
I think they got there by like episode 8.
Yeah, by episode 8, they were there. Yeah, they're gold, and
this is a major change. Like in the books, Homie is basically humanophobic, and had nothing to do with people. This guy is like, he's making a living.
Well,
because he really did that. He wanted to find Perrin, right?
Yes, and he only wanted to find Perrin.
So you think he had to approach these people, convince them that he's a tracker, get them to trust him, get them to hire him, all for one person, or has he been known to these people?
Oh yeah, I think he's been known. Like, I mean, he has to buy beer somehow.
Well, keep in mind. Keep in mind, this is a merging of two characters.
Correct. This is a merging of two talents.
Yes. So, he obviously has used, his power for money or for whatever, for trade or whatever. There's no way they wouldn't have known, there's no way people would have known about him in the first place. So, like Huron in the books, who was a sniffer, he has his services that you can get, barter, or pay for. But I do believe, just like he said, he does not typically hang out around many human beings. He says that later. Yeah.
This change.
Real quick, I broader question: is his visions based on what wolves are seeing and sending to him, or is he literally seeing violence like Huron did? Is it going to be all violence everywhere he goes?
He smelt it.
He smelled violence.
It smelled more and more gross if it was more and more violent. So he didn't see it. So the visions are not part of the sniffer thing, Ryan. So that to your question, it would have to be that the visions, they're showing visions for people, but why? I don't know. I don't know. I'm sorry I interrupted, but that's why.
What do our guests think?
Yeah.
Oh, I think I think they're wolves sending him the visions, right? Like a wolf was there and they're transposing it to Perrin, and it makes more like of the violence that happened, and what was like what they can either what they can sniff or what they saw. So it's a way I thought it translated. I was so nervous for wolf visions, like how they were going to show them in the show.
Oh, it made me cry. It made me cry. I totally cried. Cried.
I was really impressed how they chose to do this and how, like, I mean, it would be so weird if Perrin was just like sniffing violence and be like, someone was stabbed here. And this way, like the visual of being able to see it in this medium was like perfect, I think.
I also like Elias. I like Elias a lot.
Interesting.
For me, a wolf. He has the wolf's demeanor of not caring but still caring. If you understand what I mean, like he doesn't care about only person he cares about pretty much is Perrin right now. And he explains a lot to Perrin in a very short amount of time, which is another thing that I like as far as storytelling for the show. He drives the story very well, and he says so much information about the Wolf brothers in a very short amount of time, and gives us what we're looking for, so we understand what's going on.
I will say though, overall, I did not like the Perrin Hopper relationship at all. Perrin was his little dog. Or Hopper was a dog. He's like, stay, good boy, lay down. Like, I didn't like that at all. He should have been a wolf going off into the forest and coming back when he wanted. Perrin never told him to stay anywhere. This wasn't the relationship they had. So to me, this little knee-high dog that they had that they called a wolf, I didn't really
Shots
care
fired.
so much for the representation. That's just me.
Speaking of wolves,
We shall disagree.
Okay. But I mean, what would have ruined it for you, though?
I mean, we got to see more of Perrin and Hopper's relationship than we do in the books, right? Like Perrin and him hang out for a night.
Well, we saw
or
the
two.
antiseptic lick of his wound that was
Yeah.
weirdly magically healed.
Yeah, naturally. Hopper, the healing powers of Hopper's tongue.
The healing powers of Hopper. We saw that, and honestly, I did not like that visual of Hopper doing a dance. I wouldn't have called it Hopper. I would have called him Disco.
I started crying.
oh my God.
but
Here we go. Dan, look at we're losing.
He was a
we're
dancer.
losing
He wasn't a
viewers.
Hopper. He was a dancer. He was dancing. He was
Move on.
disco.
To
He
be
was-
fair,
that-
like Perrin
that-
called him Hopper, and Elias is like,
He's like,
Close
well,
enough.
it's disco.
that's not exactly what is happening here.
Yeah, all right, I'll give you that. But all right, so so the Elias thing, we finally meet Elias, and that's cool. We see the wolf vision. That's a little weird. We already went through the Bale, Doman, and Moraine bargain, where she does the gotcha, and then Nynaeve is training with the warders, and we learn that the warders get jumped in like a gang. So do you remember this? They get beat up by 10 people. They have to fight 10 people hand to hand, and that's how they become a warder. Oh no. Dog, do you remember this weird little detail that I noticed? What is this? This is prison shit.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's super interesting because we never really hear in the books from like what warder training is. We see Gawain and Galad but we don't get their POV of like the months that they're spending training. I thought it was a fun little detail from it was Maxime who said that, right? Like this is how
I
they
believe
have to
so, yeah.
train. And yeah, just how grueling it is, and like the kind of men who come to the tower to train and choose to take this task on. Yeah, I don't know. I'm curious. I really like what they've been doing with the warders, and I really like these little moments that we get with them, including episode 5 from season 1, where we just hear a little bit more about their backstories. And I'm wondering if in season 3, like if we're going to be getting Gawain and Galad at the tower, because we certainly need to spend a lot of time there. If maybe they'll go into like more warder training, or if it was just a one-off kind of discussion about these 10v1 until you can take them on.
I would love to see the twins, as I call them, that are not twins. I would love to see them get jumped in and actually win. Be like Jackie Chan or something. Welcome back, Jay.
Welcome back. Hello.
So the warder, we got just a little bit of warder stuff, a little drama there where he's like, well, I loved a nice die, and he's like, well, I loved a warder. Oh,
Cuties.
And that's why I'm a third wheel. Darn, that's why I'm always the guy on top. No, who is on top?
He's
of
on
that.
top.
That's
Three-way
some. Well, they're building up for a really big one with that, so that's going to be interesting.
Mm-hmm.
We get Nynaeve and Leandrin talking. Leandrin got permission to talk to her and actually throws her against a wall and gets her mad enough so that she retaliates. Teaches her about shielding and says, I want you to be powerful. I don't want you to be a little dog that can, clean water. I want you to be able to fuck shit up. Girl, this is what you can do. No, you shouldn't be able to shield by anyone. I kind of agree with that. Hi, me.
This is a big difference between, reading books and production for a show. In the books, there's a pretty big line that you draw between good and evil. You know somebody's bad usually, you know somebody's good usually. But when you're acting and when you're having a show, every single character has stakes and does what they believe in or what they want, you know. So there's so many different aspects of Leandrin that we've seen in the show than we never saw in the books. She's such a stronger character and there's a richness to her life that we never saw in the books.
Right.
Yeah, she, she should win pretty. If anybody's going to win awards on this show, she's tops on the list for sure.
I agree. I think this show has excelled in casting. I think it's excelled in some of its character development is much stronger than the books. I think some of its storytelling elements are not as strong, but we'll get into it when we get further in. This is just episode 1. But that Uno, well, no, the loyal thing is anyways. No, let's move on. So we have let's see. There, Perrin is digging graves. He's like, and that's where Ingtar's like, well, you know, yeah, maybe he had a reason. You can't blame him. You know, you don't know a man until you walk a mile in his moccasins, kind of thing. And says the same thing about Pat and Payne. And this is really, I think, the only indication that was obvious that he was a dark friend. Correct? Does it come out later?
Like with Ingtar, when he kind of alludes to like giving a small mercy.
Yeah, that's the
okay.
I don't remember seeing any other ones. And I think they basically wrote out that he I don't know. It was, I think there had to be more scenes, and I've heard that there were more scenes that they cut out from this. So, you know, we can't speculate a lot, but we can say that we know that Ingtar was a dark friend.
I do love that Layla is not completely ignored. She is front and center in his mind as he's reflecting. And guess what? It's the year anniversary. This is bell time. So I like that this happened. And then we see everyone pretty much doing their bell time thing. This is the only time that we see Rand. Rand hangs the lantern, but we're like, all right, Rand's alive and he knows it's bell time. Cool.
Yeah.
Or he wants more light over here. Perrin almost puts his wedding ring on the thing and then decides against it, takes it back, but puts 2 boats out there. I think one is for Rand, I believe, because they think he's dead. And one's for Layla.
Yeah.
Or maybe one's for his dead in utero.
Maybe.
Oh,
I still think it's possible still that Layla was a dark friend.
It could be. He talks about how she and Pat and Fane would smile at each other. She'd get all happy when he's there. But I mean, this is Walmart rolling into town. I'd be stoked too. That's
but don't
evidence.
Yeah, but don't you remember what Elias said to Perrin in the show?
Yeah, she's not your pack.
They're not part of your pack. Neither was your wife.
Yeah.
He went out of his way to say she was not part of your pack.
Oh, I thought he was saying you're gay.
No, I think
I'm just kidding.
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
Not that there's anything wrong with that, just not your pack. Let's see. So we get Matt. Matt talks to Leandrin. So Leandrin does something tricky here that I saw on this thing, because I was like, how the fuck is this going on? She says she reads the letter to from Perrin, and she says 12 letters and not a single mention of Matt Cawthon.
Dick.
When they do mention Matt, I hope Matt will come, but they don't say Matt Cawthon. So is that her workaround for not lying, that she called him his full name? Well, in the letters, he's just been referring to him as Matt.
I think
she's
it was
a
an early
dark
acknowledgement
friend,
to
so
the
she can lie anyway,
to
right?
the watchers that she's lying.
But
Yeah, she's a dark friend, so
But there's enough there that we can also, like, the show watchers can also, because she just chose not to mention Matt. And so she's saying a dozen letters and not a single mention of Matt Cawthon. Is she saying that she didn't make a single mention of, like, the way that she's doing it is almost like the way Moraine plays with words, right? So it can be believable, I think, to a show watcher, like something enough to raise your suspicions, but not something to, like, in the first episode to be like, dark friend.
right.
Yeah, which is clever. And I mean, maybe she still tries to stick to the O's as much as possible because she has to convince everyone that they're still in place.
yeah, I think they were building up the entire way to show her doing subtle things that said, wait a minute, maybe she hasn't taken the 3 oaths or she's found a way to renounce them.
This cat kills it. By the way, his
it.
very first scene, he drops 2 tears, one from each eye. So
How do you do that, Jansen? Have you ever had to produce 2 tears, Jansen?
It's a little bit easier. So it's easier for some folks, not for some. I can cry pretty well.
Well, yeah, you've had a
it
tough
depends.
life.
Yeah. Gotta be a survivor, man, if you can use that stuff. Oh, hey, sweetie. Look at that pooch.
this dog's eyes are ridiculous. Hold on, I'm gonna solo lay out you real fast. Look at this pup,
Got my
Henri.
little thighs.
Henri, the best rescue ever.
Henri.
Oh Jesus!
look
He's
at
I could just
you.
watch this all
Wow.
day. Actually. Oh my gosh, we just got 12 more people watching. No, keep her on. No,
Wow.
so good.
Where'd Ryan go?
Ryan, I think Ryan was like, "Oh, I'm gonna take this
Gotta
time
go
to
get a
pee.
dog.
I'm gonna go pee." We jumped to dinner at Varen's house, and by the
Yes,
way,
dinner
I
at
would
Varen.
love. Varen has the best B&B in the world.
Oh,
Right?
it's
I need to
it's
stay
like
there.
Yeah, it's
There's
like
four
you're in like Naples.
Yeah, there's sex. You have these sisters are so liberated. Adelaide just wants to gawk at naked land. She's like, "Hey, how do you work out in those pants? Take them
Yeah,
off."
they've done a very good job at showing the green Aja. They've done a very good job of that, definitely.
But yeah, the whole place is gorgeous. It seems like it's like this Tuscan vineyard of sorts.
Yeah.
And Maureen tries to leave, gets attacked by 4 Mirdraw. What are those Mirdraw? So, I mean, I guess let's just talk about that whole scene. Go ahead, Jansen.
Well, I thought it was done fairly well. I have problems with this whole Land Moraine storyline. I wasn't the biggest fan of the Land Moraine storyline that they had from last season through now. It didn't make a lot of sense to me. I understand why they did it, but it didn't make a lot of sense to me. But we were talking about how they use dark with the using as much dark as they can is so important for every single Myrddraal scene because it saves a lot of money. If the lighter you have the Myrddraal, the more computer you're gonna have to use so much more computer graphics and things like that. So for this, when you see it, a lot of times they're just using a guy in a robe and a cape with black, all with black mask and everything, and it saves a lot of money. And it also, and I hate to say this, it helps with Land's deficiencies in fighting.
Well, did you want?
Okay, wait. Oh, controversial.
Yeah.
Did you watch the extras?
I did.
So it mentions that there were 130 beats, which are different. I guess a stunt, beginning, middle, and stunt, right? There was 130 of them. They took 3 weeks to practice. They shot it in 2 nights. And then all the warders did a 2-month stunt boot camp, is what they said.
Yeah. I think that now don't get me wrong. I like Daniel Haynes. I like his portrayal of Lan.
What did I stumble upon there?
Yeah, I like his portrayal of Lan. I just think that
Right. You got a little land bun, little thrusting land bun right there, right?
All right, don't give me the absolute power corrupts absolutely.
Sorry. Go on, Jansen.
No, I think that I haven't been the biggest fan of the sword fighting scenes.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't been the biggest fan. It's although I will give Messima an honorable mention.
Oh, that
because he's pretty badass.
Oh my god, Hot Sima
sword fight scene in that.
to Betsy.
I mean, I think he's pretty badass.
This show is making me thirst over people I never imagined. Like,
right.
Like
Hot Sima,
yeah,
I'm on board.
Hot Sima, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what about the Aiel fight, the Blood Snow? I mean, that was one of the better fight scenes.
Oh, that was fantastic. Oh,
yes.
It was fantastic. Absolutely. I mean, absolutely. There's definitely definitely. And to be honest, once we talk about it later on, I think Lan gets a lot better.
Okay.
I think he gets a lot better. But up to this point, I haven't been impressed by the world's greatest swordsman.
I hear you.
I agree.
And,
I agree.
That's what I've been looking for. You know, when you talk of Lan, that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking.
Yeah, he's like more like a camp counselor right now.
Yeah, I think in the books,
he's Lan. Wait, Dear Abby and Ann Landers. He's Lan Anders.
In the books, him and Tomas would have made short work of four Marjorel. I just believe that. I think they would have made short work of 2. I don't see four Marjorel like fades taken down, like hurting 2.
Well, Jansen, the question is, it does Lan still have? So the bond was masked and then she was shielded. So does he still have those superpowers that a warder has? He doesn't have the connection? Does he have the endurance? Does he have the speed? Does he have everything that a warder entails when it's?
You sound like Trump, Dan. You sound like Trump talking about Hillary.
She's
I don't think that means anything at all. And I go in from the books at all because I'll always mention Gawain Trakan.
Love him.
He was besting all kinds of warders who were bonded without being bonded. So I can't believe that that has anything to do with it. Because I think Lan, I think Lan was the best with or without the bond. Tamal Thor. I mean, there was a bunch.
I think what they're doing with Lan here, it's going to be set up for later, right? Like, we are going to see Rand take on more Myrddrel, and we're going to understand just how talented of a swordsman he has become. And to do that, we need to understand that Lan, who is this incredible swordsman, how much he struggled taking on, I think, like 3 at a time, really the 2-pronged attack. But like, this is like, fades are forces to be reckoned with. Can Lan take on one alone?
I agree with
yes. Can he take on 3 at once? No. Our boy's going to struggle. And I'm curious, and I expect it will pay off in later seasons when we see Rand up against Myrddrel, and I think that's why.
I mean, I can name 6 Blades Masters in the books that were not bonded. So I don't think that has anything to do with it.
Well, Delusions, what's to stop Rand from doing to Myrddrel what he did to High Lord Turok and his
totally. I just think that, like, I think there's going to be something where we see Rand really come into his sword training, and to do that, I think we need to understand how terrible Rand is with the sword now, and then we need to see growth, and I think this is a good parallel to that. But I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. I just suspect we'll see it.
I assume that we'll talk about it more as we go through this little series we're doing, but Rand leveled up unexpectedly, or at least all his training was done way off book, and he even kind of, I don't know if he trained with Logain. I don't know. I don't know how suddenly he was able to sever Maureen's thing. I don't know how he was able to just kill Turok's guards. I mean,
she talked him through it, like she taught him how to do the tourniquet. You know, so he didn't know how to tourniquet.
I'm gonna watch with more eyes to see if Rand actually deserves the level up that he gets, because he is.
How many do you have, dude?
Yeah.
Well, I think that he did. See, if we remember the books, there were times when Rand did level up, and because this is a show, he's going to have to level up faster. But there were times where certain things that Rand did,
he had no idea how.
Understanding. Like in the books, you know, when he started realizing what the Flame and the Void did with Sidene, he started. That was a level up, and I think when he met Logain, and Logain started telling him to do certain things, that was his level up.
Yeah,
I think that I have to.
We just should have had a scene. We should have had some sort of
a training montage, Dan.
It seemed he didn't give him any knowledge at all.
Well, we're not going to have Irene Cara singing as him and Logain are like together doing moves, but I mean, you know, but
flash dance.
No, but no, like I think that you know, we're gonna get more of a payoff, because I think Lews Therin is gonna be here very quickly, in Rand's mind, and we're gonna be able to see him very, very quickly next season, and I think that might be part of it. That is one of the reasons why when he did take out Turok and all those soldiers, there was an eerie kind of feeling that you heard him, not him talking, but it was almost in his head. The way that they did it, it didn't sound completely like Rand. I think that we're starting to get the little bit of craziness coming. But I did like the Raiders of the Lost Ark gun moment.
Oh.
I did like
that. That was 10 out of 10.
That was fun, but I didn't understand. Then it seemed like Lord Turok was just a marshmallow that you can just go, you know, flick off. It felt a little anticlimactic to me, honestly.
It was, but in the books,
this is a sword master. Like I wanted to see some shit. I wanted to see a battle. I didn't want him to be Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Totally, but Rand hadn't really. We haven't seen Rand have any sword training. Really,
yeah,
so
I doubt he pulls up the sword ever.
But he was.
I think Rafe has alluded to season 3. We will get some sword training.
All these
allusions. Well, we didn't. You know what? They didn't bury Turok. Maybe he's just like loyal. Maybe he lived.
Oh no, Turok ain't coming back. But you know, I think that the next sword we see in. I think the next sword we see in Rand's hands is going to be fire.
What?
A fire?
I think the next, yes.
Oh,
well,
because just like the books, you know.
What's Kalendor going to be? Is it going to be an actual crystal sword he uses? I think yes. I think there's going to be a heron on Kalendor. What do you think, Doug?
Well, I think that the opening scene of next season is going to show Kalendor.
But I think, because I mean, like Rand's sword breaks in the Great Hunt, right?
Yep.
So I think this is tracking, and I think this is leading up probably to the Avienda moment as well. So I think they're going to keep it on track with the books.
Yeah, there's one flame sword.
Yeah, get it.
That was pretty awesome. And I liked how they showed, that's awesome how they're showing them work together. But I also think that you're right, he will have Kalendor, but he drives that into the Stone of Tyr, doesn't he?
But why would he do that in this show? In this show, why would you have a magic sword that you don't use? It's like, why have Rosamund Pike and not have her in season 2?
Well,
You
I mean,
gotta use it.
the glitch in Calendar is gonna, like, we're gonna see that a little, like, he uses it, and I think it's scary when it gets away from him, and that
It's
much
not gonna
power,
work.
plus having, like, if Rand's just walking around with this wildly untamable sword that he doesn't know how to fix until, you know, super spoilers. Thanks, men. But I just don't see. I don't see how he would be able to walk around in the world with this powerful sword, especially when you're bringing in Mazrim Taim, other Ashaman. Like, it's not going to be possible for him to walk around with this Sangreal all the time, and like other people not try.
Yeah,
to
no way. He won't keep it. And remember, in the books, we saw after Rand, you know, defeated the Stone of Tyrion, got Calendar, we saw another huge jump in his personality as well. As far as how he dealt with the High Lords, as far as how he started ruling, as far as he started like becoming the Karakarn for the Aiel, everything's going to start moving quickly. Remember, because we even saw Avienda and Bane and Chiad calling him the Karakarn. So everything's going to start coming. We're going to see a lot of Aiel next season, which I can't wait. I cannot wait for that. And hopefully we're going to have the Wise Ones, which I really, really am waiting for too.
Yeah.
It's one specific.
I'm looking forward to seeing a true representation of the IO. I liked what we saw, but I think that it was shoehorned in. I don't like the context or the usage that we had in this. See, there's no way it would just be these 3 or 4. It just didn't make it didn't make story sense to me that these IO. It would be actually in Falm, which is like as far west as you can get. I don't know. It seemed a little. It seemed like it forced it to introduce Avienda, who is a cool character. But I would have preferred her to be a season 3 character, I think. Honestly.
I agree with I think that he had to free her. I think he had to free her, but I also believe that if he was going to free her, why not have Fail there too? I thought that, you know,
because Fail wasn't there when he freed Gaul.
Yes, she was.
Right?
She saw him.
Yes, she was.
Yeah, she saw him. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
She saw them free Gaul and then kill everybody. Yeah.
That's a good point. There could have been 30 or 40 of them around on every shot, and I just didn't see them.
Yeah. I mean, I had no problem with Avienda, Bane, and Chiad because that's what happens in the Dragon Reborn, right? Like, they're on their quest to see the Karakarn. We know there's more Aiel out there, but that's like these 4 maidens are on their quest, die, same thing. They're by a river, you know, we get some of those moments. I didn't mind this at all, and I like that we did get Aiel introduction. I like that it was the maidens. I like that we got to see their strange little honor code. That was the one thing that confused like my dad when he was watching the show. He's like, why did they beat her up? I was like, well, the maidens have a strong sense of honor, and it's a little quirky, and I think we're going to get some more explanation on that in season 3. So,
well, we got a little bit of
on.
one, like, we got a tiny bit of one, but yeah, I agree. I also, you know, there's a lot of small things that they were doing to show us things that they couldn't show us in the book. Like, one of the things, like, something that I always thought about in the books was, why did Matt really not trust Aes Sedai so much more than everybody else? In the books, I was like, it was, you know, he was superstitious and everything, but he really didn't. They gave us a reason now. Yeah, they gave us a reason now. Like, Moraine pretty much sent him into jail. Yeah. Like, if I was Matt in the show, I'd be like, fuck, I don't want to ever see one again. You know, like, so, you know, he has a reason not to trust them now, and I like that.
Does Landon mention Moraine when she's talking to him about why he's there? Did she say I'm doing it for Marie. She does, doesn't she? Yeah, she straight names her.
Yeah, she says
Okay.
there's a man named Matcham Cawthon, the Red Aja sent him go get him, and he's, the only reason he could be there is because Moraine told them to get him. He's smart enough to know that. No one else is going to know about the dagger and all those other things. It's Moraine told them about it, so yeah, he will not trust any of them. And Mac's going to be a much darker character, I think, than he was in the books.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they're spending time in the trauma, which I like, right? Like, we know that Matt's been in prison for 6 months, and I also really appreciate and respect that. And Dan, you alluded to this when we were talking about Ingtar and Perrin at the grave scene, and honestly, that was Marcus Rutherford killed it this season. That scene where
he
he's
did a
talking
good job.
and you can still see his rage and his anger at the loss of Layla. I was crying. And I never expected Perrin to make me feel things, but I really appreciate that they are allowing this trauma to process. It's been a year since he killed his wife, and he has been immobilized, and he still now is dealing with all of in his grieving process. He's hitting his rage phase, and I can't wait to see where they continue to take that. And with Matt Cawthon, we've seen the beginning of his trauma and his guilt at leaving his friends and betraying them in that way, and just how that continues to eat at him. And I mean, even when he sees Egwene and he chooses to walk away, I know this is next episode, but
that's fine.
There's so much here, and I'm really excited for the way that the show is there's no therapy Aja, and we can see that very clearly, that these characters are already not all right, and I'm excited to continue to watch their journey. And Matt's gonna have some real heavy processing to do.
Well, I guess this is a big question now.
Yeah.
His delusions of
Listen, I am just as surprised as everyone else. This fucking show. It's
Oh my god, that's amazing.
quite upset.
Yeah,
Leandrin, Perrin, they're coming for me. Aaron,
That might be the
liked.
Wow.
God damn it.
That's amazing. That might be the greatest accomplishment so far of Amazon's entire existence.
Right. This ends with with Lan and Moraine.
Credits.
Lan's like, "What aren't you telling me?" Cut to black. So it again emphasized the Moraine Lan drama as we end.
Yeah.
Rand showed up for about 4 seconds. Matt was on for about a minute and a half. And we see him trying to dig his way out. Later he meets Min that way, but he's digging with a spoon. But he's pretty fucked up. I feel bad for him. He's been a prisoner for 6 months at least, with no dagger, no TV, no iPhone. His friends don't write to him. They don't even mention him in the letters that she reads aloud. Very bummer. But new actor, new gig, so he's getting paid. Awesome.
Getting paid. That's about it.
And
he's getting paid.
I saw him sing recently in this thing. I guess he's in some musical. And holy shit, this kid
he's really good.
Oh my god.
He's really good.
Yeah, it was a good
So Jack of the Shadows is going to be done very well.
It's gonna be
it's gonna be done awesome.
I'm
gonna love it.
Glad that he has such competition. Is there anything in this episode that you wanted to bring out specifically, Jansen, Delusions, Ryan?
I like how they did not focus on Rand.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I like how they build, I like the build up, and I like the ending scene of Rand. I like liking Rand a little bit. I like the fact that I don't like him a lot. Because he's such a conflicted character. I mean, because I like thinking of Rand how someone would who grew.
Oh, your mic cut. Yeah, suddenly we don't hear your mic. Yeah, go to your settings. Sorry, man.
It says you're muted.
I like how Rand. Well, we'll get to it, but Rand and freaking Landfear to me, and I mentioned it before, are like Megan Fox and Machine Gun Kelly. It's like they're so adorable and so horrible. And it's like I don't know what I want for them. I don't know if I want good things or bad things for them, but things happen around them nonetheless.
That is
Jansen, you're still muted. It looks.
Yeah,
can you
Dan.
unmute it? There you go. Now you're. Nope.
It's
back.
like doing it on purpose.
There
I'm
you go.
sorry.
There you go.
You might have a little faulty connection somehow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
something might be happening. I'm not sure. I hear a rumbling outside, but I hope it's not an earthquake.
Well, speaking of faulty connections, delusions, you and your father do a show together.
we do.
Jansen,
Nice.
Yes. You want to tell?
Me and Papa.
Let's give.
Look at Matt Stagger. He is a G. I mean, he is so
Right.
quick.
Right.
God.
All right.
Lot of the year.
So if you want to find Dog on TikTok, there you go. But if you want to
I
find
don't post anything.
Feather and Mountain,
Well, it's about duty.
Duty.
Dude,
it is a YouTube channel. It is a podcast. It is funny AF. If you liked anything she's been saying here, there's, I guess, just tons more.
Yeah, we haven't done our episode 8 debrief, unfortunately. Real life kind of came at me in a not awesome way. So that's
I'm
still
sorry to hear that.
forthcoming. But we've done episodes 1 to 7, and they're kind of like, we do them, so we would drop episodes on the day the new one was released. And it's a ton of fun because, yeah, he's only read Eye of the World, so he doesn't really know this world yet. And it's fun to get like a show only or a show first perspective.
Yes.
And obviously we have different takes on things. I was pretty positive on this season. I'll be honest. I really had a good time. It was a really enjoyable season. I loved every episode. I mean, there's always going to be like small issues and complaints. But I think I'm excited to do eventually our rewatch where we know where the whole story goes. And even like talking about it tonight, in terms of this episode, like Perrin's speech about how or letter, I guess, how they're stronger together. And then at the end, like episode 8, when we get that Marvel moment of them all on the tower, like I do like the symbolism of it. I'm a Hallmark movies kind of girl. I like the full circle, like, friends first. So it's yeah, I think this season had so much to offer, and I'm very excited to see it again and again. It's more rewatchable than season 1.
Oh yeah. In fact, I'm about to go do it right now.
I love your enthusiasm. I honestly wish you were on all episodes that we're talking about this because you are. I
Awesome.
really dig your insight and your opinion. And I know that working with a family member can be very challenging at times. So just stay patient.
What are you talking about? What are you talking about? What are you talking about?
Yeah,
Just
what are you
stay.
talking about?
What are you
It'll
talking
pass.
about?
These two will pass.
Wow.
Oh, that's
I
hilarious.
love you, Ryan. In a non-related manner.
That's great.
So I guess that's been it. I don't want to end it, but we got to. It is that's been episode 1. It was called appropriately enough. What was it? A Taste of Solitude. And we will be back next week with Jansen, Ryan. hopefully Beth will be with us.
No, Brother Dan. Next week is the Water Holiday live stream. So on Saturday night, we will be doing Watchatory at 9 p.m. Pacific. I think 12. Or I don't know what time it is. Oh, no, we're at 8, I think. We're at 8 Pacific,
we're 11 p.m. Eastern. The Water Holiday.
Everyone, it's a great cause. It's a great event. And stay awake, you bastards, and watch Water Holiday Watchatory Edition. We will be doing the First Time Reader show. I believe next Tuesday we'll start Book 9, and we will continue our series of episode reactions with Jansen, Lashley-Haynes the following Sunday with episode 2. We're going to go through each one. I hope you guys can stick with us. It's
Awesome.
so much fun. Without further ado, everyone run for your lives. This is The Way of the Leaf.